I was Jessica's first recruiter. I started here about a little over 2 years ago and was a recruiter for 6 months before transitioning to this role. I was on the grind, as we call it in the industry, making phone calls, staying late. It was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock on a random weekday, and the phone rang in the office. I was the only one there. Picked up the phone and just started talking with Jessica. Came back the next day and pitched jobs in New Mexico, Las Vegas, all over the place. And I think she's probably the only nurse I ever worked with that said, yeah, all those places sound good, submit me to all of them. So, that's kind of how it started.
So my name is Aaron Biddle. I am a recruiter here at Atlas MedStaff. Whenever Matt Palinski became a client manager and his nurses got distributed, I was actually fortunate enough to take over Jessica's contract. From there, she went to California with me, and then actually is now back with Matt at Duke at one of his facilities. So it's really kind of came full circle.
When you've worked with a nurse before as a recruiter, it gives you a little extra, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't want to say you favor anybody anymore, but I can reach out to the hospital and say, hey, I've worked with this person before. You're getting a good one here. In Jessica's case, that's exactly what happened. A lot of times they won't let you even submit without license in hand. She's a non-compact nurse, and Aaron and I got together and kind of came up with the plan to present Jessica to the hospital, and they jumped on her profile right away. And I don't think it was even a day before they gave her a call and interviewed and offered her.
She's awesome to work with. If I could clone her now, I absolutely would. She's extremely laid back, open to anything, like Palinski had said. Like, that's how North Carolina came out, as I sent out her profile and was like, hey, looking for Jessica Costa coming off. And Palinski was like, oh, let's send her to North Carolina. I was like, hey, you want to go to North Carolina? She's like, yeah. And so she's just extremely laid back and doesn't let a lot get to her and bother her, and it's really, really fun.
So my name is Jessica Costa. I've been a nurse for almost 6 years now, and I've been traveling for about 2.5 years of that. My old recruiter was Matt Palinski. I was really frustrated with the first company that I was working with, and I called Atlas on a random, I want to say it was like a Thursday afternoon, and Matt answered, and I was like, hey, do you know anyone that's a good recruiter? And he was like, well, I'm a recruiter, let's get you somewhere. And it was awesome. Matt got a promotion to being a client manager. And
That's
so
right.
Then I got sent over to Aaron. Aaron's been awesome. I think I've been with him for about 2 years now. I felt like I was in a rut. I'm originally from upstate New York, and it's amazing there. I love it, but I always felt like I was in a little bubble. And then one day at work, a nurse that was about to start travel nursing was like, you should try it. It's awesome. And I looked into it, and I was like, yeah, that does sound really cool. This is my buddy Timber. This is my little 50-pound lap dog. I've had him for almost a year. He just turned a year the other day, and we always go everywhere together. He's been to I think 15 states in his life, which is crazy, but he loves it. He loves exploring new places. He loves sniffing around all the areas. So he's great. I think the best part about travel nursing is just getting to explore so many different areas that I wouldn't if I was still living in upstate New York. I visited Idaho, I visited Montana, which are never places that I would think to be great vacation spots, but they were amazing. Right now I'm living in North Carolina, and there's just so much around here. There's DC, Atlanta, the Outer Banks, there's just so much that we can go see and do on our days off. I think the hardest part about traveling is just learning all the policies and procedures at every different hospital. I really didn't expect that it would be so difficult, or if it would be so different at different hospitals. But every place has their quirks. Some places there's stuff that nurses can do. Some places there's stuff that nurses can't do. So there's a big learning curve with that, and that was something that was really hard to adapt to. I think Colorado was probably the coolest. It blew my mind how much fun it is. Every day we were there. I was skiing on my days off. When the weather got nicer, there were a lot of hikes. We could go on hikes with people from our work. It was just amazing. The state is so beautiful. I was never expecting a state. The grass was so green, and that blew my mind. So yeah, definitely Colorado surprised me a lot. I think the hardest thing to learn was knowing when to ask for help. Because as nurses, I think that we're so independent. Like, we want to be so independent. We want to do everything that we can to help everybody. But this is, I mean, the job is a team. Like, you have to have support. You have to have people to work with. So knowing when to ask for help, I think, is like a huge struggle for a lot of people, especially me. Like, I wanted to think like, I can do everything by myself. Like, I can do it, like, no problem. But then you're drowning and like, you can't seem to get afloat. You leave work 2 hours early or 2 hours late. So what's next? I don't know. That's a huge, I don't know right now. I'm in, like I said, I'm in North Carolina right now, but I kind of want to go back out to the West Coast. So I'm looking at Seattle, maybe someplace in Oregon. I can't wait to go back to Colorado. So that's always on my list. And then maybe Texas. So I just, big list of potential next places.